the current wave of brand new adaptations of really old manga, True Cooking Master Boy is based on a manga from 1995 that actually already had an anime in 1997. In practice, it's about half reboot, half sequel. But the old Cooking Master Boy anime has never been licensed, nor have the original manga or the sequel manga currently running on Kodansha's mobile app. So it's fairly obscure in the Anglosphere, aside from a few old bees who remember the crappy Hong Kong subs. It's a cooking anime about a kid in 19th century China, which in this universe was in the era of the Cooking Wars. This means the setting treats chef competitions like high-stakes battles, and the story is rife with secret techniques, ranking envy, exaggerated reactions, and culinary school conspiracies. The comparisons with Food Wars have been many, especially since Food Wars itself is airing Season 4 at the same time, and it's clear that that series did take inspiration from True Cooking Master Boy. And with manga readers claiming that Food Wars isn't what it used to be, the question arises, is the new True Cooking Master Boy worth watching? Well, it does highly depend on the original work in a way that most adaptations don't. This anime rushes right to when Mao becomes a super chef and starts from there, whereas the manga took its time to get there. The reason for that is because it's aiming to adapt what the first anime didn't get to, so the intent is along the lines of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which also famously rushed through the beginning with a few changes in order to adapt the part past where the first anime derailed. The problem becomes that in other countries, the first anime was never licensed, nor was the manga, so it comes off less as intended and more like average isekai, which also skipped past the first arc and relegated it to quick flashbacks, rushing all the character development. But I already complained about that last week. True Cooking Master Boy has more of an excuse if you know the first anime, but given so many outside of Japan don't and don't have any way to, it's instead more of a problem watching a sequel to something you don't know. Some parts of the story also haven't aged well. The treatment of the female cast is pretty high up there. While the legendary chef Mao wants to emulate as his mother, the only major girl in most of the story is Mei Li, whose personality is exasperated mum friend / damsel with a jealous streak. So, generic 90s shonen love interest. That's a problem with a lot of these adaptations of old manga, though Dororo started to fix its gender issues up until the point where it didn't, and it does underline how far we've come with current stuff like Hiroaka and Iruma-kun. Mei Li does make it out a little better than in the manga though. She gets kidnapped less often, gets more screen time, and there's no running gag about Shilong groping her all the time, so there's that. But True Cooking Master Boy does have some great aspects that make it kind of sad that it's being skipped over. The animation looks consistently great, and the art understands that one of the most important things in a cooking anime is the food, which is always extremely detailed and presented to make you wish you could reach through the screen and steal some. On top of how it looks, the show has energy that makes it exciting to watch, and Mao himself is a fantastic protagonist for this kind of show. He's a trickster hero whose goal to be the best is secondary to doing good works, and he's always got some complex plan set up or comes up with one right there in the competition. The most interesting thing about Mao's plans is that they always seem tailored to his opponent, not just their weaknesses, but what they value and their reason for challenging him, as well as to the people he's trying to help, because he always goes into a competition aiming not just to win, but to save others in the process. He talks up black silky chickens in the first episode as a legendary bird because the farmer he met who raises them inherited a huge debt from her brother's failed dream, and only changing the people's mind about the chickens will help her. And later, when he faces someone who claims that a chef is only as good as their utensils, Mao pulls out a wire and a bendy knife to get the edge with tools his opponent hadn't thought of. I mentioned that the DNA of True Cooking Master Boy is visibly present in Food Wars, and fans coming to it from that show will feel right at home with how weird it is. On top of the detailed renderings of food and the over-the-top reactions to eating said food, Mao's version of 19th century China is embroiled in its own cooking-obsessed power struggle where super and master chefs are revered. There's a cooking-based criminal underground composed of disgraced chefs who kidnap children and force them to also become evil mob chefs. There's a set of legendary cooking utensils made from a meteorite that have supernatural powers and can destroy the country. Just because this is a little more G-rated than Food Wars does not mean it's not ridiculous in the best way. And that's what you'll find in True Cooking Master Boy. While there are a few flaws visible from the age of the source material and the inaccessibility of it in the first anime, it's also very well done as a shonen adventure, and it proudly stands alongside the contemporaries its manga inspired. It's not for everyone, and the fact that it's pretty much a sequel to something you probably didn't watch can be a hurdle, but if what I said interests you, check it out. This is Secret Identity Studio, and all this holiday baking was already making me hungry.